Welcome to Much Ado About Drama. Drama teachers and directors, if you are like me, you have run a program solo before, meaning you are a one-person department. I know this isn't the situation for all schools, but I know it is the situation for many schools. And even if you have other people in your department, oftentimes there's a lot that's put upon you as a director to make sure is in place. So this video is some of my best tips I've learned over the years as someone who has pretty much been a solo in my department person on staff. So let's get into it. I have taught both, I used to teach K through 8th, where each grade had a show they had to perform, and I was the only drama teacher on campus. And likewise, I moved on to a 7 to 12 school, and I have a lot of support there, and it was wonderful, but I was the only salaried member who was part of the drama department at all. And I know this is a common story, and it's like, how do you get all these things done? So I'm just going to give a few ideas for how I got it all done with it just being me. One of the first things is asking for help. Okay. Where do you find help? And how to identify what you need the most help with. All of us have a different skill set, right? Some directors might have done a lot of costuming work before, some might be really good at the technical side. And identifying what you are good at, what you can kind of take the lead on, knowing what you might need more help with can be great. So I had never learned a ton of the technical side of things. And part of it, by identifying that, oh yeah, I don't really know how to program a lighting board, even after I've been directing and teaching for a while. That was something I knew to then spend the time and do. And luckily, I was in a situation with my people who came and did the lights. We were able to afford to pay them for some training sessions, both for me and my students. I made sure when the students were being trained, I was physically there learning too, both for me to be able to do it, especially when we did little performances just in class and stuff, but also because I was then able to train up the students in the next generation. Because I don't know if you know this, but they keep graduating. And so you might have a great lighting designer, and then the student graduates and you have to train up someone new. So I would have the students train the students, but I would also have at least good base knowledge so that I could continue training people too. So identifying where you have your strengths and then where you need to ask for help, and then figuring out where that help can come from. Okay. So the main three places I found it can come from are fellow staff members. And it's great if you have the budget to actually give any kind of stipend. That's top tier, the best thing. If you don't have any kind of budget, you can see about maybe stuff that can be done during the school day that can maybe even give fellow teachers curriculum ideas. So maybe you have an art teacher who is willing to have their students do a set design unit project, and that fills in some ideas that the teacher needs. And then they are able to actually do maybe some design, maybe some painting even. Hey, talk about the medium of set painting for theater and how it's different than close up, because you have an audience way far away, and the students can then in the art class learn these different concepts, and then the teacher has material, if it fits in the teacher's schedule, they could do during the day. And think about what teachers maybe could fall into that. Even if you have a robotics program on your campus, could the robotics teacher or an engineering teacher or whatever have a technical theater unit? That brings me to my next group of people that can help, which I think is maybe the best group of people who can help with, which are your students themselves. Students are the ones who are the most invested in the program because it's their program. And I love the idea of it being a fully student run production, right? And so, as much as possible, I have my students help design. I've had them as stage managers. I've had them organizing costumes, props, all of those things. And they have some of the best ideas. So you have to really be organized in your leadership of the group of students so that you're constantly teaching them and then having them mentor each other. So maybe you have a senior who's helping to teach freshmen, whatever those concepts are that senior learned earlier on. But you kind of have to create this cycle of a system of training them up. So if you haven't been doing this so much, it can take a while to get it going, but once you have it going, it can be this amazing cycle of students who are taking leadership and then are helping to train their fellow classmates. And it's really beautiful. I would have my students required a certain number of shop hours as well. And so hours where we're devoting to organizing costumes, props, painting sets, all the things that it takes on the backstage side of the show, so that everyone was required 4 hours typically for a show, and then they had to keep track of it, and we had certain just opportunities to come in. I would come in on Saturdays sometimes for these shop opportunities, but you get a lot done sometimes on a single couple hour stretch on a Saturday, and then everyone takes ownership of the show together. The third area to ask for help are parent volunteers. So I would have a requirement of two basic, just lots of volunteering for parents. So backstage supervision, helping with the box office, helping with sets and all of that. Any of those two things they could do. I also had the costumes after the show. I had them help bring food during tech week. And it can really help the process go smoothly. And sometimes you're able to identify those parents who are really into helping. They have the time, the ability to help. And it's great to even be like, okay, now I know these are my go-to people. Make sure you're checking with whatever your school's policy is on background checks and such. We had a pretty strict background policy process, which I think is good. It's for your protection, for your students' protection, all good things. But just be sure if there is a background check process that you're letting the parents know up front and giving them plenty of time to complete those things so that you can actually have the help that they're willing to give you. So, just as a little recap, identify your own strengths and then decide from there what you are going to take the lead on and what you're going to designate either to maybe even stipended people that can help fellow teachers, etc., but also your students and then parent volunteers. Get organized and make a plan. That's the best advice I can give. I do have a free drama classroom toolkit that has worksheets for goal setting and also connects to several of my other freebies like my production checklist for any show, my character analysis worksheet, my audition tips worksheet, vocal health tips. And if you're interested in that, you'll also get signed up for my newsletter where I will be sending regular updates for things, videos like this or new blog posts, anything that is helpful to you. I also will link below the blog post about student leadership and how I help to encourage student leadership in my program. Happy directing, happy teaching, and break a leg.